2025 Mazda MX-5 Miata Club little has changed, but little needed too. The Miata has been loved across for generations for the simple fact that it is just so good to drive. In recent years, it has managed another achievement, becoming one of the most affordable performance cars on the market. The ND Generation MX-5 Miata's combination of rear-wheel drive, vice-free handling, and peppy performance makes it great to drive. For those who can live with just two seats and limited practicality, Miata really does remain the answer to many questions. The lowdown, the most basic sport version of the MX-5 Miata has now climbed past the $30,000 mark, with destination charges. But our recommendation is to stretch a little further for the club trim tested here that brings firmer suspension, Bilstein dampers, and a Bose audio system at the top of the tree. The Grand Touring brings leather trim, an onboard navigation system, and adaptive front lighting, and is also the only way to specify the optional automatic gearbox. Outside the range hierarchy, buyers can choose an upgrade package that brings BBS wheels, Brembo brakes, and Recaro seats. Only a single powertrain is now available in the US, with all versions of the Miata powered by a naturally aspirated 2.0 liter. In line for producing peaks of 181 horsepower and 151 pounds-ft of torque, a 6-speed manual transmission is standard, but buyers of the Grand Touring can opt to replace this with a 6-speed automatic. Club and Grand Touring versions also get a torque-sensing limited slip differential as standard. Yet, how does it drive? Every Miata is special, the dynamic recipe having changed little since the very first version. It's more than a quarter of a century since I first drove one, but the experience behind the wheel of a 2024 car felt immediately familiar. There have been many changes over the years and generations, and the Miata has grown. But the 4th generation ND car remains defined in large, part by its lack of weight. At 2,450 pounds, the Mazda is one of the lightest new cars on sale. That svelte curb weight means the zingy 4-cylinder can deliver respectably brisk performance despite its modest output and lack of F. Forced injection, the manual managing an entirely respectable 5.7 seconds 60 mph each time. The lack of mass also creates a virtuous cycle through the rest of the car, with smaller brakes and skinner tires than those necessary for brawnier rivals. As always, the Miata encourages hard use. Anyone used to turbocharging will feel initially shortchanged by the lack of torque, but the engine enjoys being worked hard on my drive through California's wine country. The 7,000 revolutions per minute at which peak power is delivered soon turn into a target rather than a limitation, especially given the joy in using the 6-speed manual gearbox to keep the engine singing. The transmission itself felt close to perfect, the shift accurate and beautifully weighted, encouraging changes even when they aren't strictly necessary. The chassis is joyful, and the accessible limits core to the Mazda's appeal. On winding roads, this is a car that feels alive at everyday speeds, not one that requires antisocial velocities. Peak grip levels are not high, but the balance between the front and rear axles makes it simple to adjust a cornering line and the car's attitude. All the way to progressive rear-end breakaway at lower speeds, the revised limited slip differential now has different locking rates on and off power, but I struggled to feel a difference to the earlier ND Miata equipped with a conventional limited slip diff. In short, it drives exactly as it should. What's it like to live with? Compromise comes as standard with the Miata when it comes to practicality. Interior space has improved slightly across the generations, but the ND version remains a tightly packaged car with a cockpit that could be politely described as cozy. More honestly, cramped. 6-footers will feel short of knee room and elbow space, and anybody significantly bigger will struggle to fit it all. But the Miata's minimalist mission also gives it an ergonomic simplicity that suits it well. It has everything a driver needs and little they don't. Clear analog instruments, as well as rotary heating and ventilation control that are easy to find and operate without taking eyes off the road. An 8.8-inch touchscreen delivers the basics clearly and can run Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. The fabric folding roof doesn't have power operation, but it can easily be hauled up or down in just a few seconds. That no Miata is a hauler with a tiny Little trunk only capable of accommodating for quantity of squashy luggage. The answer, of course, is to pack light. Should I buy one? The MX-5 Miata is one of the cars that genuinely possesses no rivals, with the limited number of other front-engine roadsters on the market all being substantially more expensive. The BMW Z4 is bigger, more luxurious, and more practical, but it definitely isn't better to drive, and even the least expensive four-cylinder version is nearly twice as costly as the entry-level Mazda. On that basis, the Miata remains a bargain. One of the most entertaining cars you can buy is still one of the most affordable. That said, the mid-spec Club remains a better choice than the base sport, bringing a limited slip differential and firmer suspension. To experience the Miata at its best, I'd also recommend the $4,900 upgrade package that brings Brembo brakes, BBS 17-inch alloy wheels, and Recaro sport seats. We love zingy performance and handling balance, solid build, and proven ability to take hard. Use, excellent value for money, sweetheart. Cramped interior and poor practicality, long-distance refinement has limited that favorite detail, the 6-speed manual shifter, which is one of the best on the market and the defining dynamic highlight of the car. Mazda is right to offer the automatic gearbox for those who can't or won't roll a manual, but the Miata will always be at its best with 3 pedals and a stick.